So we are on on the retreat here. Okay, I guess we can start. Are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. All right, I promised a kind of sequence or sequel to like these fashionable Sharks 1, Sharks 2, this is the Shark 3, so all right, so this is that kind of little frame which you remember in the previous instance I cut out, and we are now picking up quite a few buildings. At this moment, perceptually, big word, we are not impeded by all these trees. These trees have been really disciplined and reduced, so everything is clearly visible. There is still a little bit of an ambiguity here going on, but this is pretty clear what is going on in here. To make things even worse or even better, you see there is a huge foreground. Basically, half of the painting is just foreground where nothing happens. Originally, I wanted to... Yes?
Can you go over that foreground area again? Because you were burping a couple of times. And
Yeah, okay.
So,
yeah.
I didn't mean to...
That's the water, next time we should not have that.
No,
you are right,
So
this is...
That's a very important part because that is such a prominent part of the
Yeah,
painting.
let's start the whole schmear, all over the place.
That was the only time you made a mistake, I felt.
Yeah. Well, look, we cannot, folks, that's, no, that's, I am with you. Now, I can see at a birthday party, but this ain't that, Well, I didn't even notice, Well,
I did, and I didn't want you to ever be embarrassed because I made it, but I wanted to know about the expansive ground.
yeah, no. Okay, let's start all over.
Introduce yourself again.
Yeah.
Like you did last time.
I don't know, do I have to do this again?
Just do it again because, no, you don't have to do it. Yes, just do it anyway.
Yeah,
We
okay.
can put it in or may not.
Because because there is so, I'm referencing back so heavily, So, but I can, that's no secret,
Yeah.
Well, my name is, are we on? Yeah. Well, my name is Bela Paingint, and as you see from the signature, I am the artist who painted this picture, and perhaps this picture per se might not be familiar to you, but in our previous segment, I alluded to the fact that, you remember, I framed a little area there, and I said that we should explore what happens in between those two trees. Well, this is what happens. You can see that now the trees are gone, so there is no hide and seek or no peekaboo there. As a matter of fact, this is just the perceptual opposite of the previous one. There is a huge space in front of us. Half of the painting is really foreground, and with some exaggeration, the other half of the building is sky. What is going on in here? Well, there is a bigger framework, a kind of bigger reference here, that this is a Midwestern town which is flat, infinite expansions, of space and infinite height and expansion of the sky. So, to a certain extent, this little man-made strip is by nature's grace there. This is not natural. The natural would be a big horizon line here, big sky, big ground, forget about the rest. Well, the rest is here, and it is a kind of human intrusion to something which was perhaps not supposed to welcome all that. At any rate, I was fascinated by the stage-like quality of these buildings. You see the stylistic boogie-woogie, it is just jumping from one period to the other. You see, this was Mauresque. It was inspired by Spanish architecture of the 12th and 13th centuries of the Muslims, the Mohammedans who were living in the southern part of Spain. And then we go back to, I don't know, European Romanesque period, high Middle Ages with these massive arches. I have a hard time figuring out what this is supposed to be. Here you see a kind of little bit of a Renaissance restraint here. These buildings are basically closely, especially this is closely related to that. The Paramount building, which is now coming to full view, in contradistinction to the other painting, is a kind of Art Nouveau thing, and this is a kind of, the bank building is a kind of, you barely see it, again, a kind of compromise between modern architecture and between historical periods. Very few people are here, just pushed to the side. There are some people approaching us. Originally, I tried to, I don't know, I just felt very uncomfortable with this amount of space here. You have to do something with this, besides these huge cast shadows of the lamp pole here, I guess, on that side. So I asked somebody, I guess it was a strolling boy or girl, to sit here. This is a kind of flower bed or a flower superstructure or whatever. And what happened? That figure, instead of being that small, it was really filling up this area, and suddenly it turned out that the emphasis, the whole subject, is this figure, and everything else is background. Well, this was not my intent, so I said to myself, I just have to live with this. Plus, of course, a painter has a kind of secret weapon, and this is color. So what you can see, I turned loose an orgy of subtleties here. You see these sweet little pink colors, and now suddenly a blue. What I did, I suspect, I just grabbed something out of here, put it down here. To make things even worse, echoes of this blue are moving in here to make things even worse. You see, my signature is again done in blue with the intention. Otherwise, these things would have been awful hot, just pinks and oranges, which is, of course, dominant color theme in here. It was fun to paint this, because I didn't know whether to take these things seriously, how to treat them as major architectural landmarks, or sweet little kids, running around the ice cream parlor, picking up different strawberries and lemon and strawberry and, what is this? I don't know, something. So I decided to create a kind of cheerful feeling about this, as if these buildings would have been happy to be tolerated by the sky and by the ground. As I said before, it was a kind of sweet intrusion. Again, some of the tricks, which I used in the previous painting. You see this kind of cast shadow here, which segments this road in two pieces. So again, you have that kind of more sense of depth. But I tried to avoid to get into too many details. It is just interestingly enough, the buildings are characterized not so much but by their architectural profile, but what kind of awnings, what kind of shop sign or signboards they have. So instead of emphasizing this upstairs, this is the crux, this is the main color theme of the whole thing. And again, you remember I put my hands up. Once I knock this colorful sequence out, I don't mean the whole thing falls apart, but certainly it loses a great deal. Another thing, which you don't see in the previous thing, now in the previous painting, here I had enough sky to work with. So I introduced these sweet clouds, which are just very easygoing and to a certain extent emphasize this playful action what is in here. As a matter of fact, they personify it. They make it as a kind of model as far as movement is concerned, for these elements. Again, if we are looking at the whole thing from the point of view of the architectural historian who is making a very careful pen and ink drawing, of all the columns, all the cornices, and how this was solved by the architect, or all these Maurer, they are very nice elements. But this is not an architectural rendering. It is a kind of poetic recreation of something which was there. I am sometimes accused, oh, this guy doesn't have any imagination, he is just working from nature, and he is, if you take a photo, more or less you get the same kind of impression. Well, this is very far from the truth, These things are carefully edited, recreated, things are added, things are emphasized, things are taken out. So it is, they go through that kind of creative process, which is part of seeing and part of the mind, which is making judgments. So from that point of view, I think this introduces a little bit of a different sound, because both of these previous paintings, you remember the Mexican village and the other, which I just discussed, they were dense, if you were a bird, you couldn't fly all over the place. Here, yes, you can fly out and end up in Fargo, North Dakota without any kind of impediment. The same thing in here, you zoom back toward us. So that kind of sense of freedom, and at the same time a sense of fragility, that this thing is really wedged in between the powers of this and between the powers of that. So what else is there? So you see, it's a kind of different existential stance, different existential conditions, and although again people think, that, well, the painter's task is, there are signs, some lawyers are here, and those white signs were supposed to be mentioning all these names, but this is irrelevant. We are talking about more essential things in painting than these kind of, pettiness. I don't know, perhaps this is too harsh of a word. I think, I did not expect that I am going to paint 3 paintings basically of the main street of St. Cloud. I said to myself, if I paint, then I better go out and see the quarries or Beaver Island. And indeed I did this. Perhaps we can have another series of that, but not now. But somehow these 3 became a kind of organic unit, and I am just as surprised as a mother who is giving birth to 3 kids instead of none. Because these kids were not planned, so, and I don't know, Planned Parenthood and me might not be mixing too well as far as artistic creation is concerned. Well, I think you might enjoy these things individually, and certainly you should, but in a sequence, they really mutually reinforce each other, and perhaps it is for some realists, quote unquote, this is too much of a kind of optimistic, quote unquote, representation of St. Cloud. This is not how people perceive it. I don't know. Because see, unless I am a commercial artist, I paint not somebody else's perception, but I paint my own perception. And of course, again, people like it or not, but certainly once you look at these things, then you have to take it or leave it, or in case of the owner, he is the one who has to live with this. So I think this is all what I can say about these 3 paintings, and I am very grateful that somebody is, let's hope somebody is going to listen. Thank you again. So, well,
Awesome. That was awesome. So you actually said that you had a young person sit probably.
oh yes, yeah,
about
here.
here?
I get a girl. I said to myself, okay, honey, what are you doing? Oh, no, you better sit down. And I think if you have an X-ray eye, you would see that this is somehow surviving. There is a human figure underneath here.
I see it.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, but perhaps you see some of these shadow there, but you really need fantastic chemical and X-ray knowledge, to bring this thing out. For all practical purposes, she is buried forever there, But as a kind of a wretched artist goes through this kind of wrenching decisions. Now, what shall I do with this? And, okay, you try this, then it works or doesn't work, and finally you have to make a decision. Okay, either it goes this way, that way. And so I took a risk. I said to myself, damn it, I just leave it here.
Right.
Okay, so, and especially in the sequence, if all 3 of them would be working with this kind of approach, it would be a crashing ball, but this is the only one. So it is, again, that tension is there.
Well, it definitely is. That's the thing I felt was it's like we're on the plains and you're going to Fargo.
Yeah, that's
it is.
Yeah.
That's what I
it.
see in here. Cowtown, almost like a cowtown.
Yeah, it is. So in the 2 other things, I created a kind of sweetly false impression that this is a very dense Mediterranean town, because you see things were on top of each other. Here I said, folks, let's wake up, this is the Midwest. Okay, so this is the kind of.
How did this black line kind of come here?
Oh, boy, I should have mentioned this thing, but I don't know. This is a stop sign in here, and it is supported, the red light is supported by a huge cantilever. Can you see this? Huge cantilever light in here, which was really making a big red blob in here and cutting in front of all these buildings, so it was just too much for me. I said to myself, forget about it. So I knocked it out, but not 100%. And now it is. See, I wish I would have done this with the figure. Then, now in a ghostly manner, this is still there.
Yeah.
It doesn't bug me.
No, I don't either. I like it.
Because it is an extra little kick,
Right. It's a little bit of grit on the bricks. It adds a little bit of.
Yes, it is, because we have this kind of visual noise sometimes, things are standing in the way, which should not be, but this is our life experience.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I think it's just fabulous.
Over the years, I'm not going to be around for too long, but
me either.
in your case,
almost left last summer,
I know that you almost kicked the bucket, last summer, and it is, but especially when I don't know, some developer is coming here, and knocks out all this, puts a high rise here. These things are going to be absolutely precious,
Right. But that's why I got this painting, is because this building here is such an important part of my life.
Yes, Mom. Well, we are through.
Yeah, we're
That's
done.
great.
Yeah.
He gets an
You did
A.
an awesome job.
I got an 8 today.
Also.
Wow.
today.
So did
Yeah.
Jim. He is a pro.
I don't know. We'll
Well-
see. But I'll edit it out and definitely get you a copy.
Yeah, well, we still have to do the other.
Before I tear down.
Yeah.
Is I zoomed in on this, and from this point, Even though, no, I think, never mind. I was going to have you put that back up there and let me get a little footage, but I don't think I want to do that. I won't need to do it because when I do, if I do edit, now the other thing is when I made my first one,
Yeah.
remember my purpose was this is mine, and if I want to go look at that door,
Yeah.
I could. And what I tried to do at first, I was zooming in a little bit, then I
Yeah.
backed off and says, no, I wanted to see you go like this.
Yeah.
Of course, I had the mirror in the background like the other
Yeah.
one, and I thought it just worked out so sweet.
Yeah.
And you were
Yeah.
really, really excellent. And you know what's it's fun for me is now that I own them, I actually was listening to you for the first time tell me about this.
Yeah.
First time telling me about
Yeah,
this.
yeah, because see, most people, they don't give a damn,
Right.
oh wow, this is your problem. You put it, a girl in here, was she good looking? Yes, she was good looking, but then this was the problem, Imagine that sweetheart being, throwing her
Right.
in here,
Right.
sitting in a kind of attractive position. Who gives a damn about these things?
Right.
Everybody is concentrating
Right,
here.
right. Yeah, and that was a very, very smart move to do that. In fact, at first I was disappointed with all of this space.
Yeah.
But then I became more fond of it, and I would be looking at those colors that you were pulling in here.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the depths of the colors, knowing where this is and stuff. So I became more intrigued with this area.
Yeah.
But now knowing that this is where that girl was sitting, and it's just like the painting you did for the St. Ben's out there, how you had...
Yeah, you remember,
that.
I went through hell with this,
I know.
because I wanted to do something else,
Right.
what they had in mind,
Right, right.
so it's...
Well, let's tear everything down, get
Yeah.
your wireless mic off, I'll tear
Oh,
everything up.
yes, sir.
I'll write you a check, and then I can start loading up, and I can get out of here sooner than later.
Well, that's, you have a schedule too,